Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are breaking down the investment case for a company that has, and this is no exaggeration, completely upended the pharmaceutical industry and become Europe's most valuable company, Novo Nordisk. Yep, the powerhouse behind Ozempic and Wegovy.
Okay, let's just dive right in with the number that has Wall Street completely mesmerized, 31.3%. That was Novo Nordisk's revenue growth in 2023. Now, for a company of this scale, that kind of growth is it's almost unheard of. It's the engine driving this entire incredible story.
But this isn't just growth for growth's sake. This absolutely explosive performance is being driven by one single revolutionary molecule that has essentially created a brand new market that barely even existed a few years ago.
And the key to understanding all of this is this molecule right here, semaglutide. It's the magic ingredient, the active compound behind the names you definitely know, Ozempic for diabetes, Wegovy for obesity, and Rybelsus, which is its oral version. This one discovery is what's powering the entire company.
So if you're looking at this from an investor's perspective, the billion-dollar question, or I guess trillion-dollar question, is can this insane momentum keep going? Let's dig into the bull case, the argument for why this growth engine can keep running at full speed. Now, what's really striking here is just how dominant one part of the business is. I mean, 93% of all revenue is coming from diabetes and obesity care. And sure, an investor might look at that and think, wow, that's a lot of concentration risk. But the bull case, it sees this as a huge advantage, a laser focus on what is, without a doubt, the single fastest growing market in all of healthcare.
And the financial power of that focus is just incredible. You can see sales growth accelerating from an already impressive 13% to a jaw-dropping 42% in just 2 years. But here's the real kicker for investors. Look at that operating margin. It's expanding. That means as sales are skyrocketing, their profits are actually growing even faster. That is some powerful operating leverage.
So just how big can this market get? Well, the numbers being thrown around are staggering. Some analysts are projecting the obesity drug market could hit $150 billion by 2035. And why is that? Because you have hundreds of millions of potential patients around the globe, and today only a tiny fraction of them are being treated. The runway for growth just seems almost endless.
And you know, this success isn't just a flash in the pan. It's protected by some seriously powerful competitive advantages, or what investors call moats. They've got a patent thicket that protects their drugs for years, a manufacturing operation that cost billions to even think about replicating, and brand names like Ozempic that are literally part of pop culture now.
But of course, no story is that simple. With this kind of explosive growth comes some pretty significant risk. So let's flip the coin and break down the bear case. Every great bull case has a counterargument. And for Novo Nordisk, the biggest one starts with a single, very powerful competitor. This market is not a monopoly, not even close.
This is a fierce head-to-head duopoly with the U.S. pharma giant Eli Lilly. And their drugs, Mounjaro and Zepbound, aren't just a little competitive. In some clinical trials, they've actually shown superior results. In fact, Eli Lilly has reportedly already grabbed the lead in new U.S. prescriptions. This is a true battle for every single patient.
Okay, now for the biggest long-term risk for any investor here, the patent cliff. Think of it like a countdown clock. Those core patents on semaglutide, the molecule driving almost all the profit, are set to expire in the early 2030s. After that, the floodgates open for cheap generic competition, and that massive revenue stream is suddenly at risk.
So to keep up with this incredible demand, Novo is spending just enormous amounts of money. We're talking over 129 billion Danish kroner in 2024 alone, just on manufacturing. But these are unbelievably complex, massive projects. Any delay, any quality control issue, any cost overrun, it directly limits their ability to make money. It's a huge execution risk.
And all of this feeds into what might be the biggest risk for an investor looking at the stock today, the valuation. With all this hype, the stock price already reflects a future where basically everything goes perfectly. This price for perfection scenario leaves absolutely no margin for error if something goes wrong.
Okay, so we've got the bull and bear arguments on the table. If you're an investor trying to figure out where this company is actually headed, what are the key things, the deciding factors that you have to watch?
First, all eyes have got to be on market share. You need to be watching the weekly new prescription data, often called NBRx. This is the real-time scoreboard for the fight between Wegovy and Zepbound. It tells you, right now, who is winning the ground war for new patients.
Second is the pipeline. This is Novo's big answer to that scary patent cliff we just talked about. You have to watch for the clinical trial data on their next drugs, like cagrilintide and especially amycretin, which is a super promising next-gen drug that showed some incredible early results. The success or failure here will literally determine the company's future after semaglutide.
And finally, it all comes down to the basics of making the product and selling it. Keep a really close eye on any company updates about supply. Are they actually keeping up with demand? And watch the pricing. Are insurance companies and governments willing to keep paying for these drugs? Those decisions can unlock or block huge numbers of patients.
Ultimately, when you strip everything else away, the entire multi-trillion-dollar investment case really boils down to this one single crucial question. Can the innovation coming out of their labs create enough new value to replace the blockbuster revenue that will inevitably be lost when their patents expire? The answer to that question is what will define the next decade for Novo Nordisk.